Welcome back to the channel. We're locals here in New Orleans, and Halloween is one of the biggest seasons in the city. From ghost stories that come alive in the French Quarter to unforgettable Halloween traditions all across the city, there's no shortage of things to do. This year, we're taking you along with us as we check off our Halloween to-do list. So if you've ever wondered what celebrating Halloween in New Orleans is really like, you're about to find out. Welcome to World Wanderers.
We're Alicia and Will.
Come wander the world with us. The Garden District is where Halloween really comes to life. Tons of historic homes are decked out with spooky, over the top decorations. So we hopped on the St. Charles Streetcar, one of the best open air rides in the city, and headed that way to see the magic for ourselves. Pro tip, get on at the Canal and Carondelet stop, which is where the route ends versus where it begins. So you'll have your pick of seats. If you're leaving from the French Quarter or Canal Street and get on the streetcar at the Canal at Carondelet stop, we recommend riding for 34 stops to the St. Charles at State Street stop. This will take a little over a half an hour and let you see some of the pretty sights along this famous street. Immediately upon exiting the streetcar, you'll see the champion of home Halloween decor. So this is the Skeleton House at 6000 St. Charles Avenue. They have the best decor. Every year there's a new theme and they add more and more. Last year it was the Scaras tour for Taylor Swift, and this year's the Coldplay Jumbotron, which is hilarious. This house has become a local legend, and honestly, it's one of those things that gets bigger, funnier, and more creative every single year. The house sits right here in the Garden District, and you can't miss it. It's covered in dozens of life-size skeletons, each one dressed up in some over-the-top costume or hilarious pun. Every year the theme changes and the homeowners come up with these clever pop culture jokes that keep everyone laughing. You'll see everything from spooky celebrities and political jokes to nods to whoever's trending that year. And somehow it's all perfectly New Orleans. People drive and walk by just to see what new ideas they've come up with, and it's free to visit. And it's one of those things that just brings the whole neighborhood together. You'll see everyone stopping to take pictures, laughing, pointing out things. It's pure Halloween joy with a little New Orleans sass. This year, they've outdone themselves again. There's a full Taylor Swift section, a showgirl tribute, and a ton of clever jokes tucked into every corner. Even if you've seen the photos online, it's so much better in person. Every skeleton has its own personality, and trust us, you'll be here a while trying to spot all of the hidden details. If you've got a little extra time, it's totally worth wandering through the neighborhoods to check out more of the Halloween decorations. People here really go all out. And honestly, if you walk around New Orleans long enough, you're pretty much guaranteed to stumble across a cemetery at some point. Cemeteries are everywhere in New Orleans, and they're unlike anywhere else. Instead of being buried underground, most tombs are above ground in ornate stone vaults, giving them the nickname Cities of the Dead. As you walk through, you can see rows of whitewashed tombs, weathered statues, and centuries of history all around. It's haunting, but also beautiful, and such a big part of the city's character. Most cemeteries in New Orleans close before dark, so you can only explore them during the day, unless you join one of the special guided night tours. We're planning to check out a few tomorrow and show you what makes them so different from anywhere else. If you've got a car and want to see another incredible Halloween display, definitely swing by the Kraken House. It's at 6574 Memphis Street, and trust me, you can't miss it. There's a massive sea monster breaking out of the front of this gorgeous old home, and it looks amazing lit up at night. The best part, it's right next to our final stop for the night, the Mortuary Haunted House, so it's the perfect 2-for-1 Halloween stop. The Mortuary Haunted House is one of the most popular haunted attractions in all of New Orleans. It's actually set inside a real former mortuary that operated for decades, which makes it the perfect creepy setting for a haunted house. Every year, they completely redesign it with new themes and scares, and it's a huge local favorite. They also host a blood drive here, so yes, you can literally donate blood at the mortuary and get a discount. No filming's allowed inside, but if you're into really scary things, I'm sure you'll love it. After that, we headed back to the French Quarter to rest up for more Halloween activities the next day. And of course, we had to stop on Bourbon Street. If you're here on actual Halloween weekend, don't miss Bourbon Street. That's where you're going to see all the costumes and craziness going on. We're already spotting costumes and spooky decor, but the real party happens on October 25th, the night of Krewe of Boo. The Krewe of Boo Halloween parade hasn't happened yet this year, but last year it was such a blast. The floats are incredible, big, colorful, and full of spooky, creative details that people spend tons of time and money working on. The dancers and performers are so energetic, showing off routines that rival the Mardi Gras parades. And everyone marching is decked out in amazing costumes. And it's not just the participants. The crowds lining the streets get into it too, with creative outfits and Halloween spirit everywhere. It really has that high energy New Orleans vibe, just like Mardi Gras, but without the completely overwhelming crowds, making it a fun way to celebrate Halloween in the city.
Today we're touring the Gallier house. You can tour this historic home year-round, but during the Halloween season specifically, they do a Creole death and mourning theme. So I'm excited to check it out.
The Gallier House was built in the 1850s by architect James Gallier Jr., and it's one of the best preserved examples of what life was like for the wealthy Creole families in New Orleans. This home is stunning inside, filled with original furnishings, detailed woodwork, and all those little touches that show just how elegant life was back then. It's also famous as one of the filming locations for Interview with a Vampire, which makes it the perfect place to visit during spooky season. Right now, we're here for their Creole Death and Mourning tour, which transforms the house into something completely different. The rooms are decorated the way they would have been during a 19th century mourning period, complete with black crepe, covered mirrors, and historical explanations about funeral customs and superstitions. It's eerie but fascinating. You really get to see how people of that era viewed death as both a solemn ritual and a major social event. Photos are welcome, but no videos are allowed inside, so you'll definitely want to take your time and soak in all the details while you're there.
We just wrapped up our tour of the Gallier House. The house itself was very beautiful. The guide was very informative, and it's definitely worth visiting if you're in New Orleans.
One of the best places to visit in New Orleans is the cemeteries. We're starting here at St. Louis Cemetery number 3, and what's really nice about this one is you don't need a guide. You can just walk around and take it all in at your own pace. The cemeteries in New Orleans are so different from everywhere else. Everything's above ground with these beautiful old tombs and family vaults that go back generations.
This is a Gallier tomb, which is where one of the famous architects from New Orleans is buried. He's the guy that designed and lived in the Gallier house.
Many of the tombs here date back to the 1800s, and you can see how each one tells its own story. Some are simple and weathered, and others are elaborate family vaults that have been cared for over generations. You'll spot the names that show the city's French, Spanish, and Creole roots all side by side. It's like walking through a piece of New Orleans history. Even though it's a cemetery, there's a quiet beauty to it. The architecture, the moss-covered trees, and the way the light hits the marble makes it feel more like an outdoor museum than anything spooky. Now we've made our way over to the Greenwood and Metairie cemeteries, which have a totally different feel from the older ones like St. Louis. These are much larger and more spread out, so you can actually drive through them or take a long walk if you want to explore at your own pace. The mausoleums here are massive and beautifully designed, almost like little houses. As we drive through, you can really see how different these cemeteries are from the older ones closer to the French Quarter. Greenwood and Metairie cemeteries were both established in the mid to late 1800s when the city started expanding uptown and adopting a more landscaped park-like cemetery design. Unlike the tightly packed tombs in St. Louis number 3, here the avenues are wide, the trees are spaced out, and many of the monuments are large enough to look like small chapels or houses. It's a gray, rainy day, which somehow fits the mood. The marble and granite tombs glisten under the clouds, and the whole place feels still and timeless. Many of the mausoleums were built by some of New Orleans' most prominent families, and you can tell they spared no expense. You'll see stained glass, carved angels, and ornate ironwork that reflects the city's architecture from the same era. Metairie Cemetery in particular was once the site of a horse racing track before it was converted into a burial ground after the Civil War. That's why it has this sweeping circular layout that's so different from the older grid-style cemeteries. Together, Greenwood and Metairie showcase the shift from colonial-style burial traditions to something more grand and monumental, almost like an open-air museum of the 19th century design and craftsmanship. If you're coming from the French Quarter or the Central Business District, you can just hop on the Canal Streetcar and ride it all the way to the cemetery stop, which drops you off right at the entrance.
Tonight we are going on a ghost tour through the French Quarter. We booked through Viator. It's a company called Ghost City Tours. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to see the exact company, but we specifically chose them because they do small groups, like 9 to 10 people, which is going to be way easier to hear the tour guide than some of the other groups with like 30 people that are walking around trying to wander through all the drunk people in the streets. So we think it's going to be really good, and I'm excited to hear the Halloweeny stories. Okay, first stop of the night, Vampire Cafe.
I got the sangria in a blood bag.
All right,
Let's find out if it's good. Definitely sangria, and it's definitely good.
They also have virgin ones if you don't drink, so that's an option as well. I think there were 2 flavor options.
Yeah, there's a pomegranate lemonade option as well.
Our ghost tour was such a fun way to see the French Quarter after dark. We stopped at Lafitte's Blacksmith Bar, one of the oldest buildings in the city, to hear about the ghost of the pirate John Lafitte, who said to still watch over his old tavern. Then we headed to Jacques Saint Germain residence, where a mysterious man once lived who locals believe was actually a vampire. At Hotel Villa Convento, our guide told us about stories of the ghost of the brothel owner who's rumored to haunt the rooms, and at La Laurie Mansion, we learned about the infamous Madame La Laurie and the horrific medical experiments carried out on enslaved people there. We also saw the Andrew Jackson Hotel, where guests still report playful pranks from the ghosts of orphan boys who once lived there. So we just finished the ghost tour. It was great. It lasted almost 2 full hours though. So we walked a bunch. Wear comfy shoes for sure.
A lot of really cool information and a lot of great ghost stories.
Yeah, it was really good. It was enjoyable. There are tons of groups out that we passed by. So I don't think you could go wrong picking really any of them. There's tons to see in the city, and I think there was a story around every corner. Halloween in New Orleans is such a fun time. The city really goes all out, and there's something happening on every corner. Thanks so much for coming along with us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop any questions for us down in the comments. We also love Mardi Gras season here, so if you want to see our recommendations for coming to New Orleans then, we'll link that video next. Safe travels!